Bomb went off in his car yesterday as he sat in it outside a hotel where he was to have met a man who had some information for him.
50 years ago, a car bomb at a downtown Phoenix hotel killed Don Bolles, an investigative journalist for the Arizona Republic. He got a tip and was supposed to meet with the source, but that turned out to be a trap. Bolles' murder mobilized journalists from around the country to do their own investigation. The criminal investigation yielded some convictions, but left an unanswered question. Who ordered the hit on Don Bolles? Jeremy Duda is a reporter for Axios Phoenix and the author of the new book, Murder in the Fourth Estate, the assassination of investigative journalist Don Bolles, described as the first definitive account of the most infamous assassination of a journalist in American history. Jeremy Duda joins us now. Jeremy, welcome back to Square Off. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
This is a story that even today is still very real to journalists. I took an investigative journalist who people would know from out of town out to lunch in the hotel where Don Bolles was before he went out to the parking lot. And that parking lot is still there, and there's a monument to Don Bolles. This is a murder mystery that won't die. Why did you decide to take it on?
Well, I'd always been fascinated by the case, as a native Arizonan, as an Arizona journalist, and I'd read everything there was out there about the case, and it always kind of bugged me that there wasn't a comprehensive account that I could read, and eventually I just decided I'm going to write it myself. I'd write the book that I wanted to read.
And you started this many years ago.
Yeah, I've spent the better part of a decade working on this. The amount of research that went into this, and I'm glad I didn't realize this when I started, or I might have been a little bit more hesitant, but the Attorney General's case file is about 150 boxes worth of documents. There's still so many people alive today who were involved in the case in some way to interview, so much old news coverage to go through. It was very exhaustive.
This was a half century ago. Paint a picture of Don Bolles, the investigative journalist, because he was a pretty tough customer.
He was a big name in journalism out here. He came to the Republic in 1962, quickly made a name for himself, exposing some government corruption, probably made a bigger name for himself, was probably most well known for covering the mafia, mob infiltration of Arizona, land fraud, which was a huge epidemic in the state at the time, one of the state's biggest industries, somehow land fraud, the dog racing industry, something he got really into that became very tied in with his murder later on. And then by the time he died, he'd been over at the state capitol covering the legislature and the governor.
And I want to point out, again, covering the mafia, the mob, people who kill people. You and I are fortunate enough, we just cover lawmakers who might get angry. So a really tough customer. What was he investigating at the time of his death?
Well, that depends on who you ask. That's still kind of a question, is whether he was, there are people who think even today that he was killed for some big story that he was working on that someone wanted to silence. And even he had told people, not long before his death, that he was working on a big story. There's a lot of people who feel like that probably wasn't the case. No one was ever really able to prove that there was some big case that he was working on that would have led someone to put a bomb under his car.
And yet there were convictions, but nobody was really fingered as the mastermind.
Well, someone was, just never charged with it. He was lured to the Clarendon Hotel by John Harvey Adamson, who was kind of an unemployed barfly crook. He got caught really quickly. I left a trail of breadcrumbs a mile long. Eventually took a plea deal and said that he killed Bolles. He was hired to kill Bolles by Max Dunlap, who was a Phoenix contractor, who was a protege and close friend of Kemper Marley. He was a liquor baron, one of the state's richest men, and Bolles had done some coverage that helped scuttle a state racing commission appointment that the governor had given Marley. According to Adamson, Marley was unhappy about that. Dunlap wanted, at least at first said Dunlap wanted Bolles dead because of that. Later on, Adamson said that later on Dunlap told him, "Hey, Bolles is starting to going to work on something. He's going to have a story soon. We need to get this done now." So a lot of people suspected Kemper Marley. A lot of people still do today. There was never enough evidence to charge him with anything, and so there's still kind of an open question as to what, if any, role he had.
And he was a huge landowner.
He was
at the time, as you point out. That was the big business. What did you learn that surprised you in all your research?
Probably the most surprising thing I learned was that there was a mafia hitman in the 1980s who became a federal witness who testified that he had been given the original contract, he and his partner, to kill Bolles. And they came out here from Chicago and kind of took a look around, and the people who hired them said, hey, this has to be done with a bomb. That's what we want it done. And they said, we don't do bombs. That's not our business, and we don't really trust this contract. We think we're going to get left, hung out to dry. So they went back to Chicago, and it apparently went to someone else. But I think, on top of that, I think probably the most surprising thing is how much people don't know about this case, how much happened. Most people in Arizona know the story of John Adamson said it was Max Dunlap for Kemper Marley, and that's, this is kind of burned into our collective memory, but there's so much else that happened over the course of almost 20 years.
Yeah, I know. On the 40th anniversary, I met a lot of the conspiracy theorists. People have lots of ideas about who did this. So 50 years later, has the trail just gone cold? Is there anyone still alive who might have documentary evidence, or at least be able to say, I know who did it?
It's hard to say if there is. I wasn't able to find them. I mean, all the suspects have died many years ago. It's possible there could be, other conspirators nobody knows about, or friends or family members or acquaintances who know something or have some kind of evidence. And hopefully, as the 50th anniversary nears, if someone does, they'll come forward and this will become known. But for now, it's hard to see anyone picking the trail back up.
And the 50th anniversary, quite poignantly, was also Don Bolles' wedding anniversary.
Yeah, it was, yeah. He and his wife exchanged presents as he left the house. They were going to go see all the president's men that night.
That takes me back. Publication date of Murder in the Fourth Estate is April 16th. Jeremy Duda, congratulations on the new book, and thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And 12 Plus is the streaming home of 12 News. You can see all our Sunday Square Off coverage there. Download 12 Plus on your Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV devices right now. And that's our show for this week. Thanks very much to all of our guests. Thank you so much for joining us. We wish you a happy Easter and a happy Passover, and we will see you back here next weekend for another round of Sunday Square Off.